Well, it looks like we're here alone again, guys. Um, I'm supposed to have some guys showing up here. Tonight we're going to be talking about colleges and the way a lot of the colleges have been overrun by feminism and how that's taking a lot of the steam out of men's ability to flourish in society. And we're getting to the point now where a lot of people who are talking about colleges are deciding they're getting very close. I mean, there's a lot of colleges that are in dire straits at the moment, mainly because women that come to college are getting careers that they can't really help in society. Most of those careers are softball fields where they're looking for men, and there's less and less men in colleges, and there's less and less men that can get funding to go to college because of all the women. And it's very hard for a man to become a teacher. So if the man goes into a teaching position or into a college to learn teaching, they can't really, they can't find a job when they get out. And if they do, most of them are moved around so that they don't get tenure. And it's becoming a big problem. And a lot of these colleges like Princeton, Yale, Stanford, Harvard, you know, all these colleges are starting to have problems with keeping people, mainly because a lot of these people are getting into college and deciding to move to another college, to go to smaller colleges. And these colleges are becoming having problems now because they're thinking they're actually going to have to close. There's a lot of them that are in threat of being closed just because they're not making enough money, and they're not getting funding. You know, when you have a college full of women and the women are taking gender studies classes and they're taking classes like art history, and you know that's their major, and they're taking feminism studies and just silly things that really, you know, college isn't really made for that kind of thing. It's made to bring out real people like engineers and, you know, people like that. And they have all these philosophy majors that you can't really do anything with those careers, you know. So they're packing the colleges full of these worthless degrees and people who are just trying to get a big degree so that they can be put, you know, make people think they're smarter than they are, you know, just so that they can say, I've got a master's degree in philosophy, you know, which means absolutely nothing. You know, that's like telling somebody I wiped my ass today. You know, it doesn't mean anything. So the problem that we're having is a lot of these men are really scared of women, because when you get into college, I tell a lot of men that you can't expect to even be allowed to date a woman. You know, that's I hear all these MGTOW talking about how they still want to date women and they want to use women and they're not going to date them, but they want to fuck them and give them some of their own medicine and stuff. If you have it in your mind that you're going to actually be able to get over on a woman, you're an idiot, because that's not going to happen. They've been doing this stuff for, you know, thousands of years. And if you think you're going to get an upper hand on a woman, you're an idiot. If you sleep with a woman in a college, or you're a doctor. I recently heard Nico Chomsky talking this morning actually about sleeping with women and treating them like shit, and you know that's how he is, and you know all this kind of stuff. All it takes is for one of these women to say he raped me, and pretty soon he loses his status as a doctor and is subjugated to being a doctor working at McDonald's flipping hamburgers because he decided he wanted to stick his dick in a woman. You know, they're very vindictive nowadays, and all it takes is for them to feel you use them, because women are the only ones that are allowed to use. That it's not something that men are allowed to do. So if you think you actually are going to be able to get over on a woman just because you're MGTOW, or because you're a philosopher, or because you're knowledgeable and well read, you're an idiot, because they don't have to be smart to get over on you. You know, you have to be smart and well read to talk to a woman in a way where she's going to be able to see that you're smarter than her. But she doesn't have to be smarter than you. All she has to do is throw out, "He hit me," or "He raped me," and you're dead. You're done. That's it. You know, they don't even have to have proof. Most colleges nowadays have come up with rules now where if a woman makes a claim that somebody has raped her, you're guilty till proven innocent. So they don't even have to prove that you did it, you know, and you can be shunned even if you're shown to be real, even if you're shown to be a non-rapist. It doesn't matter. That's on your record. And if somebody does make a claim, because there's so many feminists in the industry now, in the college industry, that actually goes with you. So if you decide you want to transfer to a new college, that's actually on your transcripts, you know, that you were accused of rape. So it follows you around, even though it could have been an unsubstantiated claim. It doesn't matter. They don't care. They want to ruin men's lives. And that's why I say, if you're a MGTOW and you believe you can get over on a woman and have her think that I'm gonna date a woman and I'm gonna, just fuck her and use her and throw her out the door and stuff, she can come back a week later, a month later, and realize that you used her for sex and that she didn't like that. And she can go to the police and say that you raped her a month ago. And they don't need proof. A lot of these cases that come up, there's I think they said something about 68% of the cases that are brought up. Out of 68%, there's about 28% that are tried. The rest of them are just bullshit. So a lot of them are just women that, they actually did realize that the guy that they slept with had an alibi, and that other people knew, or he recorded the conversations or recorded her text messages or something like that. So a lot of people don't realize that. Most women aren't that smart to figure that one out. I was talking last week about the women who I teach in college, and they will cheat. That's the problem. A lot of these women aren't in college to learn. They're in college to find husbands and to find providers and ATM machines. So these women will actually cheat. And when they cheat, they're so dumb about cheating that they will literally copy word for word what the guy's paper says next to them. And when you call them out on it, they say that he cheated off me. And it's very easy to tell who cheated off who. It's a very easy way that teachers will figure this out. If you're sitting in a classroom with a table of 4 people on the table, and somebody is in the middle or on the end even, and there's only one person next to them, it's pretty easy to see who was cheating, because you can look at the guy that was next to her and see if there's anything on his test from the person next to him. And 9 times out of 10, there will be nothing on that test from the person next to him. But everything on the woman's test, if she was sitting on the end, is there. If the woman is in the middle of the table with 4, she'll have things on her test from both tests. And that's because you can't always look at the tests next to you. So it's these women, this is the way, lots of people don't understand that this is the way women think about life. They don't have they don't have the thinking that a man has, in the way that the way a man will approach a problem like that. Like, I didn't study for this test, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do, you know, that kind of thing. The way they will approach it is they'll say, well, I always get, you know, C's in this class. I got lucky today and I'm sitting next to a guy that gets A's. So if I'm going to cheat off this guy's test, I better use my brain and look at what he's putting on the test and copy everything that he puts on the test, and then go back and change some answers so that it looks like I'm not as smart. And if I see what he's wrote on his test for answers, I'm going to change the wording so it looks like I wrote it, you know. But now, because I read what he put, I can think of that way. And these are the things that women don't think about. They don't have these cognitive abilities to think that way. They're constantly plotting, and their plots are very childish. And I was talking about this today with Magnus and a few other people in a hangout. And the thing I've noticed, if you look at a lot of like books and movies that have been adapted to screenplays, women's books tend to be the stories are elaborate, but they're elaborate in a way of like a child's story would be, you know, like Harry Potter, you know, Twilight. They're kind of like, they take something that's already established and they just kind of elaborate on that, and kind of, you know, they have a hard time starting with a new idea and then taking that to its full conclusion the way a man would. So when you look at things like Lord of the Rings, there's just much more there. You know, there's much more depth. You know, when you look at like Star Wars and Star Trek and something, you know, they're starting with something that's kind of vague, and they flesh it out till it's something that's very, very, very well, you know, documented. And they go into every crevice and corner, and they kind of think about every little thing, and they come up with new creatures and new things, and they have such a wealth of knowledge about what they're going to make. And when you look at a lot of women's stories, they actually have to change the books so much when they make them into movies, because there's not a lot there. You know, there's not a lot there to make a movie to. And that's why a lot of people who read books and then they say the book was better than the movie, it's because the movie really can't be adapted to a screenplay from the book, because there's really not a lot there to make a movie out of. And I've noticed this a lot, that if every time you read a fiction novel from a woman, it tends to not be, when I look at them from a psychological standpoint, I see that a lot of those books, they don't have a lot of I don't even know how to say that. It's like they're not expanding their mind trying to find out problems. Women just don't have that capability. So they're not trying to expand their mind and expand how they think, and go into all the recesses of what I want to talk about, and what could be a crazy creature, and what lands and what planets and what spaceships look like. And you know, they just don't have that ability. And typically, if they write stories about that, it's a rehashing of something somebody else has done. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. That's why feminism, this third wave feminism, is becoming such a big thing. And that's because women find it very easy to tag off something somebody else has already done. and they don't have to think about what am I going to do now. You know, they can easily say, okay, this is the subject of somebody else's plot, so let me expand on that, on something that's already been written. So they're very good about doing things like that, but even at that, they really don't flesh out much further than what's already been done, you know. And like I say, if you any book that you read that a woman has been a part of, there are only going to be two things: stories that have already been told, or they're going to be childlike stories where it's more of a story that a child can follow along with, like a little child, you know, under the age of 10. You know, and like I say, the love stories, my mom, she loved to read. When I was a kid, she had like 50 books of Jacqueline Collins, and she loved to read those love story books, and they were just I read a few of them, and they were just horrible books. I don't know why only a woman could read one of those books and think that that book was good, because it's just stupid, you know, the thought processes that's in it about love and about relationships and stuff. It's kind of funny because love stories typically are wrote by women, these kind of books like Jacqueline Collins, and typically those are some of the most misogynist books there are, and stereotypical of female, what females say is misogyny. They, when you read those books, they talk about like the man holding the door open for the woman and all these things that women claim are misogynist. And they will say, you know, that, you know, he threw her on the bed, and you know, there's nothing in there about consent and all this bullshit. So you'd think if a woman read those books that was a feminist, she'd lose her shit, you know, which nowadays with these third wave feminists, they probably do, to be honest. But, you know, going back to the original topic of the college problem, the thing that we're having, and the reason why I put wealth, raping men and their wealth as well, is there are a lot of men in colleges that are actually raped. And this is something that isn't talked about because men get laughed at if this is the case. And what's going on is a lot of guys will get drunk, and some girl will come in, a bunch of girls will come in, and they will get this guy hard, and they will rape him, and while he's drunk and passed out, you know. And there's been several cases of people going over to college campuses, to dorm rooms and things like that, and passing out and being raped by the dorm mothers and things like this. You know, it's a common thing. And the problem is in the college realm, men have very few rights. And that's why you're seeing less and less men going into college, because a lot of men are becoming scared of college. You know, it's a very scary place for a man to be, because you're going to have a hard time if you're in college and you decide you want to date somebody, because that's, I would say, from a professor standpoint, the worst thing you can do in a college is date somebody from the college. You know, it's kind of like working. When you work, you know, if you date some woman in your job, chances are when you break up, you're probably, one of you is going to have to leave that job, because men can kind of just not really give a fuck, but women can't. Women will just lose their shit, and they'll make your life a living hell, and they'll take it upon themselves to try to get you fired, you know, and they'll never stop until they do it, you know. So they'll try and get you, you know, taken out of the equation. And this is something that a lot of men, like I say, if you think you're going to get over on a woman, you're an idiot. You know, it's never going to happen. And the only way to really get around it is to do what they're talking about. Women are wanting all these safe spaces and stuff like this, and what we really need is a little microcosm of colleges and places where these people can hear their own voices, their little echo chambers of bullshit that they want to tell themselves and hype themselves up about how life is, and until they get into the real world and they get a slap in the face, you know? And I think if we did that and we just let them talk and talk, when they came out in the real world, a lot of people are starting to realize when they hear these people talk that they're a bunch of idiots. You know, when you look at those protesters on that campus where they were somebody went by in a car, and this isn't even proven. Somebody is supposed to have went by in a car and yelled the N-word out of the car to a black student. Now, this black student, his parents are alleged to be worth $20 million, you know? So he doesn't know anything about growing up in the hood. He's all the kids at this school are very well, you know, off and don't have to worry about anything, but they're still saying they're oppressed, you know? And you've seen in the video, the thing that made me sick and laugh was the women holding each other and crying and acting like, you know, blowing things out of proportion like it was really something, because nobody did anything to them. But we all have this idea now that we really want to be victims, you know. We want to be able to tell somebody that I'm a victim of something and something happened to me and you should feel sorry for me. This is the new idea that women have about life, and many men as well, that this is I had this happen to me, feel sorry for me. And this is the new stupidity that we got going on now, where these women really, they'll take something that happened to someone else and they'll internalize it, and they'll try to get people to feel sorry for them for something that isn't really that big of a deal, something that happened to them. And you know, or something that happened to them that's really not that big of a deal, but they blow it out of proportion to where it sounds like a huge thing. And you can tell some of the stupidity that these women have when they're in college environments. If you look at, like, the girl who was yelling at the dean of the college, if you look at what she was saying, she said that college was supposed to be a home, you know, and that it was not supposed to be a place of higher learning, you know. Just in that statement, when you're standing on a college campus, most logical people could see where that statement is fucking retarded. That is like the stupidest thing you could say. A college campus is not a home. A home is a home. A college campus is to learn and to be educated. But these girls have it in their idea nowadays, and this is why they're ruining campuses, that they should be able to come into a college and not be confronted with other ideas. And they don't want anything to challenge their position and make them actually think that something they're thinking is wrong. So if they're feminists and they come into a college and people start explaining to them the men's plight and the men's issues and showing them the truth, they run off to some safe space. Hey, what's up, Mike? Mike, we can't hear you. Well, we got Mike the Mugger on here, so.
Hey, what's up, dude?
Hey, not much. Waiting to see if you were going to speak.
Give me a second to get situated here.
Cool. Yeah, Magnus is supposed to be here too. He went to sleep a while ago, so he should be up. So he said he wanted to get on here.
Yeah, I'd be asleep too if I wasn't stuck at work.
Yeah, Magnus is good because he's a truck driver, so he's always stuck at work.
I thought about doing trucking.
Yeah.
I was fresh out of the Navy.
Yeah, I drove truck for a little while in the U.S. before I came to Japan.
I'm not good with spatial awareness. Not that big of a vehicle. I tried doing it when I was overseas. I got some chance to drive some big rigs, and I wouldn't do it on the open road.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen some of the guys that go through the truck driving schools, and they're kind of scary, you know, when they get behind the rig and they have to back up to a dock, or, you know, there's the parallel parking that we do with the trailer, you know, and I'd see some guys, they wouldn't, you'd tell them how to do it, and they wouldn't even be close, you know.
Yeah.
It was scary. It was scary. It's like if they were driving a truck and backing up, they'd take out like 15 cars on the way to the dock, you know.
That'd be me. That'd be what I wind up doing. Yeah, I drove cement trucks. I did pretty good with construction equipment though. I drove a 14K front loader. Drove a bulldozer. I've driven a bobcat.
Yeah, when you get something like a trailer behind you, I always found it because I was used to driving like the 65-foot trucks, you know, with the 65-foot trailers and stuff. So you're driving down the street with like, you know, 75 feet or something hanging behind you, and
yeah,
those are always easier for me to back up because there's more when you're starting to back up. It's easier, but when you get like a pickup truck with a trailer on it, that's fucking harder for me to back up because little movements make like you jackknife the truck, you know, automatically. I'm just used to driving big giant trucks. I've been doing that since I was a kid, and I'd drive like a Chevy Love truck with like a lawnmower on the back and a trailer, and I could never get the damn thing backed up. Wow.
sorry about that.
uh,
This is where I work.
Yeah, I remember you saying late at night it gets like nobody around there.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, it's the weekend right now, so we're not too busy.
Yeah, you guys are you guys still on the holiday weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like Thanksgiving Friday or something, right?
Yeah, the other contractors are, but we got to work.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never really celebrated Thanksgiving that much in the U.S. So I'm a vegan, and you know I never got behind the whole celebrations. So I really haven't done Thanksgiving more than probably 3 or 4 times in the past 20 years, probably. So I never remember when it is, you know. Then living here in Japan doesn't help any because we don't celebrate, obviously, Thanksgiving. Oh, here comes Magnus.
Good morning.
Good morning. He's up.
Oh, there's that car for you.
Yeah.
And I'm still at the point this morning where I'm drinking coffee because I'm still where I'm scratching my butt whenever my head itches, and I need to correct that.
Yeah, I just woke up not too long ago too. I woke up at like 9:50, so I've only been up for about an hour. Yeah.
What's up, Mike? You had any good muggins lately?
No, you know me.
Mike,
I wound up making that video last night.
Yeah, I saw it was uploaded. I ain't got a chance to watch it yet.
Oh, did you make a response to that video or something?
You could call it that.
Mm.
Um,
I haven't watched it.
You gotta see it. I kind of lost my shit like I do with a lot of my videos.
Yeah, that's how I am. I really find it kind of uncool when you see those people that make a video and it's all scripted and they read off of like a whiteboard that's behind the camera or something like that, or they have a friend and they write up the whole thing, and or they put it on their computer and they're looking at their computer the whole time. It seems very it's just not what I would as a YouTube creator. It's just something I don't want to see. You know, I want to see somebody talking something that they really know about and showing their feelings and kind of fleshing things out and stuff, and not like a scripted, a scripted thing. It's like when you get on the internet, unless you're talking in front of a lot of people, you're not really. That's not really your. We're not here to have a lecture. Basically, you're not here to make a lecture every time you do a video.
Right.
I like to.
I very rarely use a script. I mean, I used to do it all the time. I do a whole script for all my videos, but after a while, it just got to the point where I'm like, I already know what I'm gonna say. I don't need to fucking write it down. And how I am, like, I'll make an hour-long video. If people want to watch it, great. If they don't want to watch it, fuck you, go away.
Well, I look at it like, I get maybe 10,000 views. I've got a few videos on my channel that have over 22,000 views, but most of my videos have like 500-600 views. So why take a whole day to write a script and then practice the script and then make it on film and then have to edit it and make it look really cool, and then you take all this fucking time, take a whole day or sometimes 2 or 3 days to make it, and then you put it up. It gets a total of like 600 views, and on your AdSense you make like 45 cents off of it. It's like, why waste the time? I would rather just get a topic, start the camera, and then talk about the topic and flesh it out, and then turn the camera off and load it, and then... Well,
you can always do like minor editing later too if you really need to.
I use the YouTube editor. I just chop off the beginning and I chop off the end, and then I put my things on the front and the back, and if I made any stumbles inside, I chop those out, and then I load the fucking video, and I'm done.
There's a certain simplicity to only using audio.
Yeah.
That's why I love Audacity.
Yeah.
And it's probably also why I'll never, like... I think I had a couple videos planned where I might, like, show my face, but...
Yeah.
Those are...
Don't do that. Break the camera.
No. Well, not in the traditional sense. Like Logic. I'm still working on getting like a mask or something. That old cliche.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying, man, because when I started my gaming channel, I used to, put a whole day into compiling video footage, editing. I'd write out a script, everything. But it just got to the point where I'm like, I'm not getting anything out of this compared to the amount of time I'm putting in.
Exactly. You're not PewDiePie, When you're somebody, like when I get to the point, like right now I'm over 1,300 subscribers on my channel. When I get to the point where I have like 10,000 subs, I might somewhat do, like, because you get a lot of requests of like, you should talk about this and you should talk about that. So I can take an idea and I'll flesh it out on a piece of paper, and then I make a video and I'll have some ideas or bullet points that I might want to talk about. But I still just kind of riff it, That's what I've been doing, even for my gaming videos. Like my Mad Max review that I did, I just basically I wrote down the bullet points that I wanted to as I'm playing the game. Like I'd be like, okay, I need to mention this, and I'll write it down. And then after
after I get done with that, I might organize it a little bit, but that's it. And then I'll just, bam, I'll do the video.
Well, because, yeah, when you make the notations for specific things you want to talk about, then you just, oh, yeah, I want to talk about this, and you just take off and run with it.
I mean, my Tales from the After Now, though, I mean, obviously that's all scripted. all my Tales from the After Now, like, obviously it has to be scripted. Although I do still riff, even when I'm recording my audiobooks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've always had a problem with like reading off of a script and stuff, because then I start to sound stupid. You know, I used to go into like lectures, and I'm used to, like, you know, I'm a professor, so I'm used to like talking about psychology and talking about music and just like knowing what the subject for today is and just going and starting to talk about it. So I have a hard time like standing there and having a lecture. You don't want to come into a classroom and lecture people every day like that. You want to just kind of like go with the flow, and basically every class is different, even though I'm teaching the same thing, because you'll start talking about stuff and then somebody will raise their hand, they'll ask a question, and that's kind of where class starts, you know.
Right.
So I don't, if you have some, you know, script that you say every time you teach that class, nobody's really ever going to learn anything. They're just going to, you know, listen to you speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the best kind of learning is, you know, when you interact with the students.
Yeah, that's the time my classes always start. I'll basically usually speak for about you know, maybe 10 minutes or something like that, and then somebody will automatically say something about something I'm speaking about, or they'll have something they want to interject, and then somebody else, that gives somebody else an idea. Usually, like when you're in a class, it's kind of like the people in a 7th grade dance, when everybody's nobody wants to dance because they don't want to look stupid and be the only ones dancing, so they kind of wait for the first person to do it. And that's kind of how a classroom works. You know, I'll start speaking, and because I'm the professor, they think like I have tenure, and they don't want to talk over the professor because that's rude. So when I'm saying something and somebody just can't sit still anymore and they have to raise their hand and say, yeah, but what about this? That's when it all starts to really happen, and people actually start to learn, because they're actually starting to use their brain cells, and they start to think,
yeah,
you know, well, you said this yesterday. You know, you said this yesterday, and you said this last week, and then the test that we took last week said this, and what about that? And, you know, so you basically ended up being like that.
Keeps them engaged and awake.
Yeah, exactly. Makes them think, because if you're just talking to them, that's when you have like half your class fall asleep. You know, That's why I know these things from running classes. So when I do YouTube videos, I've got a lot of compliments that people say my voice is very calming, and that it's like speaking to a friend and not somebody talking at me. You know, that's what a lot of the videos I watch seem, that they're talking at you, they're not talking with you. You know, so I like to make videos where people want to listen to you, and even if I make a video that's like 40 minutes long, that people actually, I've had people sit there and watch the whole video and comment throughout the whole video and leave like checks of like, at 10 minutes you said this and blah 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 blah, and then at 25 minutes you said this and blah 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 blah, and they'll watch the whole video and they'll say they learned a lot and they liked what I had to say. And a lot of guys, they'll just they have it set up in a way where somebody will watch like 10 minutes of your video, and after 10 minutes the people just shut it off, you know.
Well, I know that's the case with my videos, at least, because I've gotten comments before, you know, oh, you said this, you know, and it's like, did you watch the whole video?
Of course they did.
That's not what I meant.
Yeah, of course they did. And like, you'll say something in like the first 5 minutes of the video, and then as you talk in the video, you'll flesh it out till the end. And you'll get to the point at the end where what you said at that point, you've actually fleshed out and shown it to be false. But they'll get on when they get to that, and they'll put 5 minutes, you said this, that's stupid, and blah, 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 you're an idiot. And then they leave.
Then they just stop watching, yeah.
And then they leave. And it's like, dude, you didn't watch the video. You know, and this is a technique that a lot of these male feminists and the feminists use, because they don't they jump on the bandwagon when they hear somebody say something like Indian, you know.
Yeah, or they pull out whatever meaning that offends them, or
That's all they're looking for. They want to be a victim. They have to be a victim. They want to find something to be victimized for, and it doesn't even have to be them that's victimized. It could be somebody else that's victimizing them, and they'll just say like, that word is offensive to this group of people, and you look around and you go, well, show me where those people are at. Did I victimize anybody right now? And it's like, it doesn't matter. You can't say that. It's like, I just said it. What the fuck are you talking about? You know?
But I know the style of videos that I do tend to be kind of caustic.
Yeah.
I swear quite a bit, and I usually go in hot.
Well, you have to be a little every now and again. But Shi-Nu, was it okay or not okay? I'm not entirely aware.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
What's wrong?
Oh, somebody else wants to come in. M wants to come in.
M the atheist.
M the atheist.
Is he in?
Goddamn heathens.
What up, M?
He hasn't hopped on yet.
Oh, okay. I'm not at the screen.
Yeah, he hasn't hopped on yet. It's just us three so far.
Yeah, M. I love how he starts his videos. I have to admit, because it starts with a picture of that squirrel chick from SpongeBob and says, "Howdy, y'all. I'm about to fuck up your day."
Yeah, the video that I did, well, it was this morning, but it was last night for me. The video I did last night was pretty much me spoofing Messenger's last video. And
I've heard about this video that he made. I haven't seen it yet, you know.
I would say watch his video first, or you won't get the references there.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people. We were on a call this morning, and I was on a call with like 5 people, and they were all making funny statements about things that he said, like MGTOW used to be hard, and, you know, stuff like this. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? You know?
Oh my God! Proverbial game of telephone.
Used to be strong. MGTOW used to be strong. Now it's weak. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, look at the difference between, like, say, the MGTOW movement and the herbivore movement. By now, the herbivore movement's still getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
and they're not, quote unquote.
It's an estimated 70%. That doesn't mean it is 70%. It could be a lot more than that. It's just an estimated 70%.
Well,
fucking
exactly.
scary.
But at the same time, though, they're still going strong.
Yeah.
And they're not like ass deep in the red pill rage. They're just like, you know, zen-like and calm about it. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Most of
the MGTOW here realize that we have to associate with women, but we can just kind of like not date them. Not basically. And what's nice about being in Japan is if you don't want to date a woman, you'll never date a woman. You just don't have that unless you're actively searching for a woman to date. You're probably never going to date a woman because it's just not in our culture. You don't go into like a coffee shop and ask a girl for their phone number. It's just not something that happens here. So if you're not actively looking for a woman to date, you're not going to find one.
Well, howdy, Em.
Howdy, Em. Are you about to fuck up our day?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah.
What's up?
Howdy, y'all.
Howdy.
Are you about to fuck up our day?
I don't know. He seems to be having a little bit of technical difficulties, but
yeah.
But yeah, no, you know, Shi-Nu, even with me, you know, I talk to women constantly, but you know, and even the ones that actually show interest, I'm just like, don't even pay attention to it.
Yeah, that's how I've been for a long time. It's like that's a lot of the girls that I've even dated have been mad at me because of me doing stuff like that and acting like I don't really give a fuck, you know. So they're always like, you don't love me and you don't care about me and stuff like this because they'll whine and bitch and piss and moan, and I'll act like I don't give a fuck. You know, I don't care what they have to say and what they think.
It's not even you're not even actually acting, are you?
No, I just don't give a fuck. You know.
Exactly.
You know?
So
they're like, you don't love me, you don't care because you don't ever fight. And I was like, there's never nothing to fight about. You're fighting about stupid shit. You're fighting about shit that was in the refrigerator and shit that's on the cabinet and shit that's on the floor, and I don't give a fuck. You know.
Just tell them we wouldn't even be having this argument if you were in the kitchen making me a sandwich.
Exactly. Yeah. Go make me a sandwich and we'll sit down and watch a movie, and if you shut up for a minute, you might have a good time. You know?
I think
actually, Mike, in Japan, I think it would be, shut up, bitch, get in the kitchen and make me some ramen.
Yeah.
Make me some sushi.
Yeah. They very rarely...
Do you make sushi?
Yeah.
Isn't it already made?
Do you even sushi?
Senpai, do you even sushi?
Of course, now I would imagine with sushi, you know, you being a vegetarian, you go for more like like I've seen over here. I don't know if they have it over there. That's why I'm asking. Like the California rolls, where it's just like rice and I think seaweed or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of guys don't realize. I'm actually getting ready to make a video on this. I'm going to call out a lot of my vegan friends that talk about the veganism and say that they're always putting up these videos where they eat sushi, and the problem is they use these huge dredgers, and they tear up the seafloor, and they actually tear up the seafloor environments, and kill a lot of wildlife and stuff when they get that seaweed. And they bring up these huge amounts of seaweed and tear up the seafloor, and then they have to leave it for like 5 years before they can do it again. And they actually, like most seaweed has like dead sea creatures in it. You know, it has like fish and shellfish and all kinds of stuff in the seaweed, little that have been trapped in there. So these people are like, I'm a vegan because I eat like, you know, I eat like sushi with no fish in it. It's like, well, if it has fucking, you know, nori on it, then it has fish in it.
No, and that was a huge problem back in the day. I was even reading an old study on it. This guy was wondering why, like, back when vegetarianism first became popular,
yeah,
they were wondering why British vegetarians were suffering from so much malnutrition, and like Indian vegetarians weren't. Well, it's because the Indian vegetarians were eating or drinking natural water, eating natural plant matter, which has all this other like detritus and other stuff in it.
Yeah.
And like British vegetarians were eating farm-raised stuff, which, for lack of a better term, was pure.
Yeah.
And it's the purity that'll get you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've been a vegan for 26 years, almost 27 years now, and I don't take any vitamins. I don't take any medication. I haven't been in a doctor's office in 23 years, and I always talk to guys that are vegans, and it's like you'll talk to these people that were vegans for like, you know, 2 or 3 months, and then they say they got sick and then they had to quit or something like this, and then you'll ask them what they ate, and you'll say you weren't a vegan. That's not veganism. You know, that was what you did wasn't veganism. It was actually a eating disorder that you just had. You know. So they think like if they eat like 1,000 calories a day and all they drink is smoothies, and you know they eat some like lettuce and they have some fruit or something, that this is veganism, and that's not veganism. That's the worst. That's an eating disorder. Basically, you have bulimia or anorexia or something. You're not a vegan. Veganism isn't a diet. It's a lifestyle. You know. And there was a study that came out back in the 40s, I believe, and it was called the Starvation Experiment. And if you read that book, in that book, they came to the conclusion that if you eat less than 1,500 calories a day, that's a starvation diet. The human body can't survive on less than 1,500 calories unless all you do is sit in bed. If you just wake up and sit in bed and eat and never leave your bed besides to go to the bathroom, you might be able to survive on 1,500 calories a day. But if you get up and walk around and you're doing things all day long, you need like 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day. That's how much you need. So all these people who are like, I don't eat sugar and I don't eat calories and I've got to watch my calorie intake, and well, they're fucking idiots. And when you get onto a vegan diet, and that's how you deal with your veganism diet, you decide you're going to restrict calories and restrict your sugar intake, because every cell in the body, including the brain, runs exclusively on fructose. So if you're not eating fruit and you're not eating sugar, you're an idiot, because you're going to fuck up your brain. That's what leads to all kinds of Alzheimer's and everything. 80% of medical problems in the world are caused by diet. And that diet has to do with milk and dairy.
And I hate to say this, but that's probably why a lot of times, not all of them, but a lot of the vegans I've seen, they seem like they're a little loopy. And
yeah, a lot of them are.
Saying they're not eating enough calories and not getting the right fuels for their brain.
Well, there's some of these
psycho.
Yeah, well, there's some of these vegans that are actually, they'll eat like one banana, things like that. Those vegans, that's not a vegan. That's an eating disorder. So I'll see these guys on the internet, and they're like, okay, you can only have like a half an apple, and then 3/4 of a banana, and 3 grapes, and a half a bowl of rice, and they'll eat like 1,500 calories or less per day, and then they say I'm a vegan, and then you'll see 6 months later they've gained a bunch of weight. They are not vegans anymore, and they put out some book about how veganism almost killed them. Veganism didn't kill you. Your stupid eating disorder did, because you weren't a vegan. Nothing about your diet was vegan.
Well, Banana Girl went bananas. That's plain and clear. That's simple. That's hilarious. She went totally insane.
Yeah, they're both friends. They're actually both good friends of mine.
What, Banana Girl?
Yeah. Freely, I went to their meeting in Thailand last year and this year too. Yeah, they're really nice people. A lot of people don't realize that they got like over 1 million subs, both of them. And when you meet them in person, they're nothing like that. They just try to it drums up people to watch their video, and they're just trying to get the vegan message out there to people to stop eating meat. So they say really crazy, stupid shit because they know it's going to get all these meat eaters to get on their page, and that's what they want. They want traffic. They want people to make videos about how stupid they are and how crazy they are, because it just gets other people to find out who they are, and they know that. That's what they are. So when you talk to them in person, they're nothing like that. Like what people think, they're crazy, they're this, they're that, and then you meet them in person, and they're just normal people. They just eat veganism, and they eat vegan food, and they'll sit down in a circle with you and talk about veganism, and they're just nice people. They're not forcey, they're not pushy, but then you'll see them on a video, and they're like, all meat eaters should die, and blah, 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 and then they have like 50,000 videos that are made about that, saying how crazy they are. Vegan Gains is another one. He's a very, very smart, well-read guy on veganism. He knows his shit, and he knows that people don't want to hear facts, so he'll put out these videos and he'll make fun of people, and he'll call them out on their bullshit, and then he gets like 35 return videos on how stupid he is. But he doesn't care, because he already knows that all that means is Google knows who the fuck he is, and he's getting his word out there. Everybody knows who Vegan Gains is, and he started making videos in December last year. And the guy's already got like almost 1 million subs. So he knows what he's doing. It's all about like sales, basically. They're just trying to get their channels hyped up, and that's the easiest way to hype it up, is create drama, even if it's fake drama.
That's
I will say
because part with me, I absolutely refuse to create drama. I'd rather, talk sense and present either my opinion or some sort of fact. So,
yeah.
But even
I've
that,
done it
even that gets people bitching at me over stuff, because it's like, I'm not a statistics guy. I don't look up stuff. I just present it how I see it. And you can look it up if you want to.
I only do it when I see something that kind of pisses me off or gets me going or something. I've done like I think 3 videos. I did one on Zeta and Warhorse and stuff, that video that they did where they were saying they didn't want any women in MGTOW. And then I did one on a guy called Viva Sancho Tito or whatever. I did a video on him, and he was saying how all the MGTOWs should follow him because blacks have been oppressed for so long, and blacks know more about what we're going through. So we should, all these white MGTOW that came up with MGTOW should all start following the black people. And then come to find out, I heard from another friend about 4 or 5 weeks ago, he was arrested and now he's in jail. He's like, oh yeah, well let's follow him. You know?
My thing is like, even if nobody's actually heard my opinion, I've said this several times. Well, women can't be a man going their own way. You can talk to them, you can get their opinion on something, just to kind of get the other side of the coin. But
yeah,
other than that, no, women can't technically be MGTOW because they'd have to be men first.
Yeah. The thing
a lot of it's like MGTOW, especially these older guys have been here for a while. They're afraid their boys' club is going to be encroached upon.
Yeah, it's the same thing. They're basically male feminists, is how I look at it. I think that's what pissed them off, because I called them male feminists, because they really, their ideas and the way they think about MGTOW and the way they think about men's rights can't really stand up anymore, because they've fleshed stuff out to a point that they're actually getting into like philosophical debate, and they're actually talking about things that don't exist anymore. And now they've been doing that for so long, they're not really talking about reality anymore. So when you talk to them, they can't hold up to scrutiny in a reasonable debate, because they're as bad as like when you talk to like crazy feminists anymore. So it's really hard to speak logically to people like that, because they have basically gone as far left as they can go, to where a lot of us are in the middle, and we want to kind of sit at a table with a feminist that's not a nut, and kind of like tell them what our ideas are. But like I was saying in the last podcast, and I say all the time, we can't do this without women. If you think you can just leave the fucking insane asylum and hand it over to fucking the people there and not think the fucking place is going to be burned down, you're an idiot. We can't leave them at the helm. There won't be anything to come back to. You have to engage with them. And the problem is we got people like Karen Strong and these people who are fighting on our side and have been, and that's like all they talk about is how fucked up feminism is, and how they're all fucking idiots. If you don't engage those people and keep them going, they're the only ones that feminists will listen to, because they don't give a fuck what a man has to say. Even if you're a male feminist, they don't care what a male feminist has to say. They want you to white knight for them. But they do care if a woman that looks like a lesbian is talking about men's rights. They kind of have to listen to them, because they can't call them out.
Right.
So you need those people. You need those women on our side, and if you try to alienate those women and they stop working for us, it's all going to come down like a house of cards. You need those women in the education fields, keeping these women in check, because they're the only ones that can.
Well, and plus, with me, I can tell you from personal experience that more times than not, when you still talk to women, but you just treat them with a level of indifference that they're not used to, that gets the message across way better than outright hatred.
Yeah. The thing that I always found when I was married and when I was dating women, the thing that pisses women off the most is when they get the most like pissed off at you and you act like it doesn't bother you. When you get a feminist yelling at you and criticizing you and acting like a complete lunatic, and you just talk to them with indifference, that pisses them off so much, because they're trying to get a rise out of you. It's like a troll. I get a lot of trolls on my site, and what I do is I just click on their page, and then I click on their Google page. I block them on Google. I go back to their YouTube page. I block them on there, and then I come back and I click delete all their comments from my page, and everything they put on there, everything they worked on, everything they did, it's all gone. You know, that pisses them off because they didn't get a rise out of you. You didn't even talk to them. You just blocked them. You know, and that's how I deal with those people. That's the same way you deal with feminism. You don't even fucking acknowledge them. And that because that's what they want. They're looking to get a rise out of you, and that's the only reason why they say the stupid shit they say, because they're trying to get you to come back at them really hard so they can yell at you and say, look at how much of an asshole he is. And it's like, no, I'm not an asshole. I'm not even going to engage you because what you had to say wasn't even logical and it didn't make any sense. Why would I talk to you? You know, I have a lot of women that come on my page and try to harass me and try to tell me shit and try to act like they know what they're talking about. And when you listen to what they have to say, it's just stupid and there's no reason to even engage them, so I don't.
Now, that's interesting. Now, what do women have to say to you? That's interesting.
Well, usually they come on my page and they say things like, you don't know anything. You know how feminists are. They really don't have an argument. They can't, like, you'll say some really logical stuff in the video and then they just come on and they say, you don't know what you're saying and you don't know anything about this and you don't know anything about that. And I'll just get on there and say something snarky, like, I'll make sure I tell that to my master's class at college tomorrow in my psychology class, you know. So they'll say like, you're stupid and you don't know what you're talking about, and I'll just be like, yeah, I'll make sure I'll tell that, you know. I'll tell that to all my students tomorrow, you know. So you know, and then what helps me out a lot too is I have two PhDs behind me on my videos, you know. So it makes it a little bit harder. And then if they hear me say that I'm transgender, you know, so I'm a transgender woman with two PhDs. It's kind of like their brain kind of starts to smoke, you know. They're like, how can I fuck with them, you know? So it makes it harder for them to say anything to me. But I still get these feminists that like I've been talking about. They watch like 5 minutes of your video, and they just start saying like, you don't know anything. What would you know? You're just a man, and blah 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 blah. And I said, well, actually, I'm transgender. I'm a male to female transgender, and I've got a master's in psychology and a PhD in music education and composition, and I teach as a professor and blah blah blah. And then they come back with like, you're an idiot. And it's like, okay.
Don't you love when PC culture backfires on these women?
Yeah.
It's always fun.
They created.
Yeah, it's they just don't. That's the thing I always talk about with them is like they don't have anything logical to say. They're like basically Fox News on steroids, because when you talk to these feminist women, they will say something that they think, like they'll regurgitate and vomit out bullshit that's already been like shown to be false like 20 years ago, like the pay gap and all this stuff, the gender empathy gaps and all that stuff. They will throw out all these things, and they're just regurgitating kind of the same thing we hear when we're vegans. You know, where like the first thing that people say when you're a vegan is, where do you get your protein from? You know, and then you got to like talk about the same shit over and over again. So as soon as they say something like that, you just show them and you just talk very calmly and very, you know, logically about all the studies that have been done and how they're biased and how they're stupid and how the actual fact is this and blah blah blah. And then they come back with their Fox News bullshit. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. You know, and they can't handle the truth, you know, and they just wanna if they can't reason with you logically what they feel is logically, then they'll start attacking your character, because that's all they know how to do. They can't logically debate you on reality and facts because they don't have any, you know. So all they can do is start saying, you're a dumb poo-poo head.
You're a stupid duty poo-poo head.
Yeah, well, that's basically all it ends up being.
That's what makes it so funny to me, is that they, you know, the fact that they can't argue logically and with the facts and keep on point, and they have to start, well, you're just an evil duty head, you're a sexist. Yeah. The fact that they're doing that, a lot more people are starting to see that.
Yeah.
Even people that totally ignored it, and now it's starting to turn around and bite them in the ass.
Well, I teach psychology, and I teach a lot of my students this, and it pisses a lot of the feminists off in my classes. The thing that you need to understand is the way the feminist mind works, the way the feminine mind works, is these girls, they can't logically keep on topic with what's going on and think about things logically. It's very hard for a woman to do that, to sit down about something that is logical and is like factual and is now, is talking about right now. It's like how most guys will tell you when they get into a fight with their girlfriend. The first thing the woman starts to do in the fight when you're talking about what happened just now at the grocery store is she starts bringing up shit that happened 2 years ago. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And this is the way their mind works. So they can't, it's very hard to debate a woman because there's, like, a guy will come in and say, this is what I think, this is why I think it's stupid, this is the proof, and this is the negative of it, and blah, blah, blah. And a woman will come in, and they'll be so much all over the board that's what confuses men. That's what actually will confuse a man and make it hard to argue with them and debate with them, because they'll bring so many things up and they'll throw so much stuff at you. It's like looking on the internet. It's like, where do I start? It's like your brain gets overloaded. You're like, what are you talking about? You know, that's basically what is happening with men. We're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because they talk about so much shit at once. You're like, I don't know where to start. Why didn't you stay on topic? You're not on topic. What are you talking about?
Shi-Nu, and that's why so many comedians have practically made lifetime careers off of that stupid crap, is because, you know, so many men just, they didn't really know how to defend against, you know, well, you know, why did you break my grandma's favorite plate? Well, because you did blah, blah, blah 3 years ago, and you're just like,
yeah.
You have to do with what you just did.
I piss them off in class all the time by doing that shit. Every time they start talking, a lot of my men students already know that I'm not going to let them go. So they'll start talking about something, and I'll just throw out there every time they start getting off. I'll be like, hey, stay on topic. You know? I'll just say that, and that just pisses them off and breaks their concentration every time, because they'll start talking about something, and then they'll kind of drift off into something else, and I'm just like, hey, stay on topic. You know, I do that to them, and I probably say that 100 times in class, in like a 1 hour class, every time a woman gets up and starts talking. I probably have to say it to them 10 minutes in a 5-minute conversation, and I have to say it like 10 times, because like every like minute and a half they'll be talking and they start to drift off, and you're like, hey, keep on topic, you know. And you really have to keep them in check, or they'll meander around a topic to where when they're done and they come to some point that they think is a point, you end up just like shaking your head going, what the fuck did you just talk about? That didn't make any sense.
It is hard to herd a hamster. It's hard to herd hamsters.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah, you speak with them. I've sit down with so many women and you talk with them, or they'll say something to you in class, and you just, when they get done, you don't know what to say because they didn't really say anything, and you really can't like write on the chalkboard or anything what they were talking about. You're like,
you're not supposed to say anything. You're supposed to give them a hug.
Yeah, it's like, what was all that about? I don't get what I'm supposed to get from that. You wanted to raise your hand and you wanted to speak in the class, but you didn't say anything. It's like, you just wasted our time. It's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? You know?
Just want for being a woman.
Yeah, I do that all the time though. When women will get up and they'll say something, and I'll have to keep them on topic, and then they get done with what they were speaking about, and I just kind of like look at the class and I just go on with my lecture about what I was talking about, because there's really nothing to say about what they talked about because it didn't have any factual basis in reality. It was just like verbal vomit, you know.
Verbal diarrhea, I believe. Verbal diarrhea would fit a little bit better.
Yeah, it's like crap. They just start talking, and it's like listening to, you know, some of the cutest things you can do. The thing that has pissed off a lot of women in my classes is the funniest thing you can do is like record 2 kids in the back seat talking. You know, like a little 3-year-old kid talking to like a 2-year-old kid in the back seat of the car. And you'll hear him talking, and the other one's trying to tell him about life and how things are and what this means. And he'll look outside and he'll go, "What's that?" And then the little 4-year-old will start saying like, "That's this," and blah 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 blah. And they don't know what they're talking about. Neither one of them, you know. But it's really it's really cute. It's really cute to listen to them explain and try to pontificate on what they think that is. And that's basically how I'll play videos of little kids in back seats talking, and I'll say this, and then I'll play on top of it like a feminist clip of two feminists like talking together. They're basically patting each other on the back, and they're talking about things, and then on top of what they said, I'll play a factual video of real facts, and the whole video will be like 2 minutes long, and they'll be so fucking pissed when I show their ignorance, how stupid they are,
Have you heard about the beautiful ones experiment?
The what?
The beautiful ones.
Yeah.
Have you? This is why, like, particularly what's happening in Japan is so scary. Makes you wonder if that kind of thing could happen over here in the States and what that might do.
Well, like I've talked with Magnus before, I don't think it'll ever get as bad as it is here, because here in Japan, it's such a small country, and there's so many people on the island that you kind of have to work, So if it gets to the point in the U.S. where there's like 40% MGTOW in the country, that would be enough to make them shit their pants, And the GDP would go down so quick that they wouldn't be able to not, do something with that, But here in Japan, they act like it's not happening. Every time something goes on, they'll just kind of like turn their head and be like, no, it's they're just afraid to talk to women and blah blah blah. That's basically how they are here. So they don't really want to like call women out and act like it's really a problem.
It's a hypergamy.
Well, last night
in Japan.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I was going to comment on that earlier. It seems as if it only gets worse. It seems as if it even with the herbivore men, as popular as that lifestyle is, it seems as if it's only made the hypergamy worse. It seems as if it's only made the female nature that much more well, I hate that word. An issue.
Yeah. Well, they're like devouring themselves, because the thing is women have this idea of how life is, and they feel entitled to get something out of life. You owe them, you owe them getting something for nothing, and they have it in their head that they think they should be able to get money and wealth and find a husband and get kids, and they shouldn't have to do anything, for that. And all they should have to do is give up a little bit of pussy and act like they're going to take care of the house until they have the man on the hook, and then they can just leave him alone. And that's the way it is here in Japan. They just have this idea that they try to act like with feminism that it's not the case, that that's not what they want, but it's a fact. It's a reality. That's what women have been designed to do. They want that,
I would tend to disagree with you there. I think it's been culturally programmed into them, and that's a large part of the problem.
Well, it's not. The feminism is, yes, it's kind of like came about since the 60s, but the whole women's mind concept it's something that's evolved for 1,000 years. It's just women when we've done studies on their mental capacity, they just aren't interested in things that are mechanical and building things and stuff. They're nurturers. It's just what they want to do. It's in their brain. That's, when you give a woman a baby, she just wants to take care of it. You give a guy a baby and he's like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? So we just yeah, it's like, what the fuck am I going to do with this thing? It's like, I got work to do. What the fuck, So it's, it's just the way women are, and they just want to. These feminists are actually fighting against nature. It's just that's what women are, and they just want to say like, no, it's not. And they'll look at people like Ronda Rousey and people that have done things that are like less than 1% of the female population, and then they say we can all do that. See, And it's like, no, you can't all do that. We can't all be fucking Hulk Hogan, you know? It just doesn't work, you know? But they really feel that, and they want to grab onto these few people in the culture and say that means we can all do it. And you can all do it if you have the drive and the fortitude to do the work that it takes, but most people don't, you know? And that's the problem. Most women don't have the fortitude to work out and to do the things that it needs and do all the math and do all the studying and all the education that it would take to do the things that they say all women can do. Most of them just want to get married and have some kids and have a house and drive their kids to soccer practice. That's a reality. That's a fact. And they want to fight against that like it's not the truth.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I'm probably going to take some flack for saying this, but, you know, I don't have a problem with traditionalism.
Yeah, I don't either. You know, it's a reality. It's the thing that should be enjoyed. The funny thing is women have fucked up their entire life because women used to have a place in society. They used to have something that they were good at and they were proud of. You know, they were proud to be a mother. They were proud to say that I take care of my husband and that, you know, I'm a good wife and things like that. And then men were proud to say, like, I've got a great wife. She's, you know, she makes dinner for me when I come home at night. She gives me a kiss and tells me how was my day, honey. And, you know, and that's just not how they are anymore. It's like it's a big fucking fight. Everybody's fighting against each other. And they think that, you know, I guess they think that that's what we should want. It's really sad.
Sorry about that. I had technical difficulties.
With the toilet again?
No,
hey,
internet ran out on me, so I had to get it renewed so I could get back in here.
Do you guys want to see if Vernaculus will join?
Who?
I don't know if he's on right now.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Vernaculus.
What's that?
Uh-oh, Vernaculus.
Yeah, let's get
He's always got some very serious stuff to say.
Yeah.
He's always very serious. What's that, the Gong Show?
Yeah,
what are we on?
But that's definitely... yeah, I think we're on the Gong Show at this point.
Oh, there's the boss.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm probably going to catch some flack for this, but my favorite vegan is Unnatural Vegan.
Yeah, I watch him too.
And that's just because she does movie reviews.
Yeah. Yeah, I like when they you know, the thing is a lot of them don't get, like, if they're, that's the thing with the way the trollish nature is, it's basically been fostered by the feminists, this troll culture. And
it won't let me invite him.
On the internet, you have to be that kind of trolling kind of jerk where you say lots of crazy flamboyant stuff that gets people pissed to get views. So a lot of those people that are nice vegans and stuff like that, they'll have like 2,000 subs. And then you look at these guys that every video they're like, these people are fucking fat and these people are ugly and blah blah blah, and they got like 150,000 fucking subs, you know. And it's just, that's what people want. They have this idea that they just want to see drama. We've bred this into the culture now in the last 20 years where that's what people want. They want to see drama.
Yeah, that's sort of the sensationalism culture we've kind of been indoctrinated into. I don't particularly give a crap about it because I'm one of those that's like, just give me the information and let me move on. Keep the freaking drama out of it.
Yeah, they're those people that just kind of want to foster as much drama as they can, you know.
Well, no, I don't mind being a smartass whenever I talk, you know, on my podcast or even here, but it's one of those where it's like, you know, being a smartass is one thing, but unnecessary drama is a whole nother kettle of fish.
Yeah, I don't mind if there's like purposeful drama where like it's drama for a reason, you know, because something was said that needs to be talked about and fleshed out. But when they just like say stupid shit like feminists do, where they just come up with stuff like manspreading, they just make shit up and then like try to flesh out something that has no basis in reality. I talk about this a lot in my classes where there's kids that, you know, when you start on a premise of something that's not even a factual basis, and then you try to flesh that out, it doesn't matter where you go with it because it didn't have any fact starting. You know, you can't flesh out an idea if it's not a real fact. You know. And
just watch the look on a feminist's face if they accuse you of mansplaining. Just look dead in the eye and say, "Well, if you weren't fucking complaining, I wouldn't be mansplaining, now would I?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's sad, you know, to see where the culture is going now, and they're actually going to bring, you know, with our help, I think we're going to bring a lot of women to our side, but they're on this fucking terror where they're kind of like tearing shit down as they're running by it, and they won't turn around and look at everything they've left in their wake behind them. They just keep seeing stuff in front of them to tear down, you know, and they need to turn around and see the havoc they've created, and they just won't.
Shit going on in the college campuses is fucking scary, man.
Yeah, it's, you know, a man can't go anywhere in society now and interact with a woman, especially a young woman, a woman under the age of like 30, without really worrying that you could end up in jail. Because she could do anything she wants now, because the way the way the laws are set up in the United States, you could be in a coffee house with her, and she could talk to you, or you could offer to buy her a coffee, and she could talk to you, and then like a week later, she could go and say you raped her in the bathroom, and then all of a sudden you're in jail with no proof, you know, and then you lose your job and you're accused of rape, and even if you go to court and they say it wasn't real, it's still on your record, and everybody that knows you thinks you're a rapist now. You know, and that's all they have to do. They can completely destroy your life with just one stupid, non-factual claim. You know?
I wonder what Tom Leykis' take on MGTOW and feminism is.
I don't know. Who knows? They're the same way that a lot of the people are on the internet, where they, you know, he just starts spouting off and saying some really crazy shit because he knows it gets views and it gets people to watch his thing because they want to see what crazy shit he'll say next. You know, that's the system we've set up with like this kind of Paul Jr., Paul Sr. kind of, you know, internet and TV shows where it's just like, you know, people yelling at each other for really not much of a reason, you know, and we just want to watch the shit go down.
Yeah. I discovered Tom Leykis before MGTOW, though. Yeah. And that's kind of what led me down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I've watched him a few times on the internet. He's not over here. I could probably get him online or internet or something like that, but I've watched him on the and listened to him on the YouTube.
Tom Leykis was the one that started you on the path to the dark side.
He really was. I mean, it wasn't him. Like, he didn't link or anything. What the fuck? Are we on the Gong Show now?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've even heard some of Tom Leykis' stuff, and it's pretty entertaining if it's not totally serious. But
yeah, he's a great entertainer, but he's also a smart guy, and he has. I mean, I know his material delves mainly into PUA stuff, but I think he has some good you know, life lessons as well.
Yeah.
You know, even non-PUA guys.
Yeah, I was watching a video today, a 3-hour video with Joe Rogan, and he had a feminist on there that's actually kind of she's a first, like maybe a first or second wave feminist from the 60s, and she's actually fighting against all this stuff that the feminists are doing now. and she's actually quite smart, and she has a site on YouTube called the Feminist Frequency or something, or logical feminist. No, logical feminist or something like that. Feminist logical or logical feminist or something like that. Yeah.
Well, and since there's no such thing, I'll have to not believe that exists.
Yeah. She was actually really cool. She talked with Rubin, the Rubin Report, and she did Joe Rogan before that. She talked with Joe Rogan for like 3 hours.
Oh wait, no, you're talking about Christina Hoff Sommers, the factual feminist.
Yeah, the factual feminist. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's where feminism should be, because she realizes how far the pendulum has swung into the favor of women, and she realizes, but she still says stupid shit. I had to leave a comment on the Rubin Report when she was talking, because in the first 5 minutes she said, yeah, when women earned the right to vote and blah blah blah, and I got on there and I was like, I'm really into euphemisms, and she said, when they earned the right to vote. First of all, they didn't earn anything. It was given to them free of charge, and men have to have stipulations put on us of voting. To vote, we have to actually sign for selective service and all this bullshit, or we can't go to college, we can't do anything. We can't get Social Security disability, we can't get anything unless we sign up for selective service. Women just can get it for free, you know? So they didn't earn shit. You know, and that's, I mean,
well, in that
she's still in the end still a feminist. You know,
that issue actually, I was reading a comment thread just yesterday or the day before, and that issue actually gets to me. Like, there's a lot of these guys who are like, you know, hey, stop complaining and just take responsibility for your life. I mean, if you don't agree with the draft, then don't sign up. It's like, well, dude, it's not that simple.
No,
like,
if you don't sign up for the draft, you can't go to college. You can't get student loans. You can't, in many cases, you can't even get a driver's license. You know, I mean, you can't vote. You can't get like welfare. You can't get like anything basically if you don't sign up for the draft. You have to.
And it is a crime. It is a crime. Like, just because no one's been prosecuted for it for decades doesn't mean that they can't.
No, they basically say you're not an American citizen if you don't apply for it. But women don't have to, and they're still American citizens. They can vote, they can get Social Security disability, they can get anything they want, and they don't have to actually do anything in society besides shit out a kid.
Right. And that's the crux of the issue. They have a corner on the market for baby making.
Yep.
They have a corner on the market.
Yeah, well, I watched that new turd flinging monkey video that I thought was funny. When that's really all women have in society is they make babies. And he said that there was a woman. He actually pointed out that there was 2 women that actually got pregnant. Somebody raped some woman who was in a coma for 10 years, and she got pregnant and had a baby while she was in a coma. And then this other girl got in a car wreck or something, and she was in a coma and actually had a baby while she was in a coma after the car accident. You know, and he's like, so we're supposed to think you're so special because you can do something that some other women can do as a coma, you know, that's in a coma, you know, so you have such an amazing thing in society, and it's not the truth, you know. There's not a lot that men could do that they could do in a coma that people would think is great, you know.
I would say that I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
Those women will be heroes.
Yeah.
They're so strong.
Yeah, they're so strong because they got pregnant because somebody raped them while they were in a coma for 10 years, you know.
Well, and that's part of the reason why when feminists give you that shit, I'm just like, you know what, just get the fuck out of here. Because, you know, like I said, I grew up with a mom who, you know, actually got out and did man work and didn't complain. The only thing she wanted was just the equal pay for doing it and the equal opportunity, which I couldn't argue with that because my mom could, half the time she could work circles around my ass, and I mean, I'm a pretty hard worker myself. But at the same time, you know, my mom never, never played those idiot ass cards of, well, I can have a kid. Do 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 do. It's like, yeah, no shit, Mom. You had 4 of us.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's a pretty simple thing to do.
Yeah, some women think that that's a really big deal. Like we can, and like I say, when I talk to them in classes, that's the stuff they bring up. You're like, what do women do in society that we should feel like is such a great thing? And they'll say like, we can have kids, and I was like, yeah, so, and like,
well, I would be quick to point out you yourself can't have kids. It takes
exactly.
2 for that equation to work.
Exactly. Well, that's what's funny. The research that we've done now, you can actually, men are the only one, because we have the X and Y chromosome. We're the only ones that can actually clone. We can clone basically males and females, but females can only clone females. So basically the society would end, with them. So you can only do a true continuation of society through cloning if you have a male. So basically we're the only ones that could really, when they say we don't need men, within like a couple generations, if men were gone, there would be no fucking human society.
Yeah, because you couldn't leave women to do it because they wouldn't fucking do it.
No. Most of them don't have the science education anyways to keep it up for 20 or 30 years,
Well, even Star Trek had a few episodes on that. Like, yeah, like a civilization based on cloning is doomed to fail.
Yeah.
It's pretty much doomed, no matter how you work it.
That's the thing. It's getting to that point now because people are just the feminists have taken over so much that people just, there's not really much left of society, and people are scrambling to try to figure out what they can do, what to do to keep it going, and like they're trying to come up with alternative ways to make things work.
Well, and feminists have that thing where it's like, oh, if we the extreme ones have that thing where, oh, if we cut the male population down to 10%, there would be no wars, blah, 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 and women would be in charge. And it's like, yeah, no, if you did that, the human race would be extinct within about 5-10 years.
Oh, yeah, less than that. While it was on the way down to 10%, it would be extinct. You couldn't get the male population of the Earth down to 10% and actually still survive. It just wouldn't work. And if you did, all of the men that were left would be slaves to the women, because basically you would be sexual slaves. They would only use you to procreate. That would be all that you would. And you wouldn't be married. You would be basically used for sex, which might be fun. You would be used for sex with women, for hundreds of women, but you would probably be most of the time not fucking Jennifer Aniston. You'd be fucking Big Red.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, you probably wouldn't even get to have sex. They'd probably milk you like a fucking cow for your sperm and just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
A bunch of prostate massage. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, that's all it would end up being. It wouldn't be. That's what they're wanting, though. They want a society where women control it, and they don't realize women have always controlled it. Men built everything that there is in society. The reason why society is where it is right now is because of men, and you can't make that not true. No matter what you try, you cannot make that not true. That's a fact.
Well, the funny thing is, if the male population was ever down to 10%, the cry women would still make is, where did all the good men go?
Yep.
Where'd all the good men go? Where'd they all go? I don't know.
I don't understand.
If you want the good men, bitch, get a shovel and head down to the cemetery. You might dig one up somewhere.
It's like, all we got left is these 10%. This 10%'s a bunch of assholes. I don't like them. Like, where'd all the good ones go? I don't know.
And they keep all the alpha jerks to reproduce with.
Well, that's the ones they probably wouldn't want to keep, because those guys wouldn't put up with a lot of the stuff, because they just want to, they don't want to deal with a lot of women's bullshit, which is why they get pregnant by those guys and then have the nerdy computer, guys take care of their kids. That's something we found that I talked about in the last podcast, where we found that 64% of men in America are raising children that aren't theirs. And that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And and this is the thing, what you need to understand about that. This is only what they've figured out, what they found out accidentally, what doctors have found out accidentally. But this isn't, I'm not talking about men who have married some woman that has kids. I'm talking about a man that's married a woman and she's told him she was a virgin, and they're married now and they've been married for 10 years and they have 2 or 3 kids, and one day one of the kids gets a broken leg or something like that, and he has to go in and he gets a blood test with their family doctor, and he brings the mother in and tells the mother that her blood type and the children's blood type don't match the father's blood type. That's 64% of American women. They've basically went out and they've actually found somebody else that they want to procreate with because they don't want to have children with their husbands. They're not. They don't want.
Man, that's just.
They don't want
just
you.
Depressing.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's a fact. It's a logical fact, and that's the things that, like when feminism talk about men, I'll bring up shit like that, and they don't have anything to say about it.
Oh my God!
Can't hear you.
Oh my God!
I said your neighbors are getting too noisy. You're gonna have to go over there and knock on the door and tell them to shut their holes.
Yeah, I can't do anything about it. That's the Coast Guard.
Oh.
Really, it sounded like Big Red.
Yeah.
Patriarch.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Dude, that's just depressing. Like, I was talking to, I guess, another YouTuber a few months ago about that. Like, the more and more I talk to other men that aren't even, like, red pill men and aren't even, like, YouTubers, aren't even, like, men's rights activists or anything, just normal average guys. The more and more I talk to them, the more and more I hear stories that make us all say, like, why on earth would any guy get married? Like, why on earth would you put yourself in that situation? I know a dude who is so far into his blue pill, who's such a male feminist, that after the life-destroying, like, rape he went through in the divorce court, he's still doubling down on this feminist garbage. He's, like, defending his wife. It's like, dude, what the fuck? She took the house. She took everything. Like literally, she somehow convinced him to give it to her. Like, he was such a, beta blue pill, beaten down person that, he just gave her everything to make her happy. And I just don't he has no resentment towards her at all. And I'd be like, dude, what the hell's going on? Like, she didn't even give you a kid.
Yeah.
Like, you just gave her the house, you gave her the money. Like,
I talk about it all the time. I talk about it in my classes. There's a saying by Voltaire that the easiest way to enslave people is to convince them that they're free, And that's the thing with a lot of these guys. They actually postulate and they think that they deserve it. Like, the only reason why she divorced me is because I was a bad guy, and she'll believe that she had the right. She had the right to do that, and that I owe her that. That she's owed that in society. That she owes me working my ass off to give her my house that I paid for, that I did all the work.
The problem is somehow they've convinced these guys that they owe women shit that they didn't earn. The only thing anybody owes to anybody is what they've earned. If I don't earn a paycheck at the end of the week, I'm not calling my company going, hey, you owe me for blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I understand that if I didn't make enough money that week to get a paycheck, but just enough to pay for my truck payments and whatnot, then that's what I got. You know, I didn't get any money out of it because I didn't earn enough. You know, so it's like, you know, I only expect what I've earned.
Yeah, and that's the problem with a lot of these women. They talk about the pay gap, you know, and they don't ever talk about sometimes it comes out of their mouth and they don't look at the euphemism that they're talking about. They say women don't earn as much as men. And that's the point. You want to stop them right there. I stop them every time. I'm like, let's flesh out the word earn. What do you think that word earn means? Because what they do is they take all of the men in society and all of the women in society, and they look at their total earnings, and then they say women make about 76% of what a man makes. You know, and it's like, the problem is men work more hours, men do the most of the work, men work in the higher skill, higher labor, higher chances of being killed jobs. Women tend to take time off of work, blah blah blah. You know, all these kind of things. You point all these factual things out, and then when you flesh out all the real logical stuff, you find out that there might be a 1 or 2 cent gap between male and female, you know, wages. So they don't, and they can't really, they don't really understand the euphemisms they use when they say women don't earn as much as men. And I'm like, after we get done talking with it for about an hour and a half, I say, and you were right, women don't earn as much as men. Men have to work their ass off to get what they got, and women expect to get it for free.
Like the vote and everything, you know.
They want it for free. They feel they are entitled to it. Just because I have a pussy, I may not work as much as the guy that sits next to me. Maybe he works 7 days a week and he works 14 hours a day, and I only work 8 hours a day, but I should make the same amount of money because I do the same job he does. And they don't understand that word earned. You know?
Well, and if he's sitting there at his desk, you know, actually working, churning out like 3 times the amount of work that you're churning out, because you're sitting there filing your fucking nails, or chatting with your girlfriends on the telephone, or going out for smoke breaks with the other women, but he's still sitting there just doing his work, then yeah, of course he earned more than you did because he was working while you were fucking off.
And that's the thing, they can't see that. They think that they should still get the same amount of money even if they don't do as much work. You know? And they can't see the fallacy in that logic.
Well, that's part of the reason why women will not, you know, most of the time become truck drivers. There are some, but not many. But that's part of the reasons why they won't do it, is because in order to make the money, you have to put in the miles. You can't just dick around all the time.
Yep, you got to drive, you know.
Yep, you got to turn them wheels to make that cash.
I just don't like the idea of a bunch of women driving trucks. I just don't like that idea. It seems like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
It really does.
Well, there's not that many of them that do it. So.
Yeah, less than like 5% of truck drivers are women.
Yeah. And
so
actually,
Nawalt.
Well, the trucking industry is actually kind of hurting for people to be driving trucks right now. So
that's why you're going to find more women doing it, and then you're going to get more truck driving accidents and more people dying from falling asleep at the wheel, and you're going to start seeing truck accidents go up because, first of all, what they're going to end up doing is they're going to get men, and they're going to make incentives for men to go into truck driving that aren't really good drivers, and they're going to end up driving big trucks and getting in accidents. And then you're going to get women doing it that aren't good drivers either, that really don't want to do it, that won't make any money, and they'll do the same shit. They'll fall asleep at the wheel, or they'll run into people, and they're just going to, you know, destroy the whole industry.
Well, it'll all be automated soon enough, anyways.
Yeah.
I kind of doubt that, because you're still going to have somebody sitting in the truck regardless.
Yeah. Well, you got like the Google that Google drone bullshit now. I don't think it'll be very long before, if they keep doing that and they keep having a hard time finding people, what they're going to end up doing is training stuff around. They'll train it all over the country, and then when it gets to the certain town, they'll put it onto a they'll take it off the train and like put it onto a Google thing, and the Google drone will bring it to your home or to your place of business, you know, and they'll be able to get rid of all of the bullshit.
Trains can only do so much, though. That's the problem, because that's the whole reason why the trucking industry even exists, is because you know, some of the things, they got to have it sooner than the trains can actually get it there, so that's why there's still trucks.
Yeah. Yeah, but it won't work if they don't have anybody to drive the shit. You know, when they have like 5 times as much stuff to deliver as they do drivers, that's where you're going to get into a problem, because you're going to have people trying to hire people to drive trucks that aren't qualified. You know, just because they need people to move freight. And that's when you're going to get into trouble. You're going to start having problems with that.
I could easily see a company like Uber, you know, their automated cars, you know, jumping over to do you know, industrial shipping.
Yeah. Yep. Well, like you got the guys that deliver packages in their cars and stuff. It could be a whole revolution for Americans, where they hire people and people open up companies where they run to the train docks and they grab a bunch of shit in their vans and they take the shit and deliver it like a UPS driver and shit, you know. So it could be a whole way to make money, you know. But that's the thing. The women are going to end up doing this, you know, women and people who are greedy, because like I talked about it in the last thing, these police officers that keep giving these guys tickets and getting these guys to lose their driver's license are the ones that are causing these issues. They're more worried about money than they are about getting shit through the over the road trucking. So by them actually hunting truck drivers, trying to get as much money as they can out of the truck driver and the company, and him losing his license is what's causing that issue. The only reason why I didn't drive truck is because I lost my license because of points violations. You know, and that's the whole thing. There's so many men that go in and spend so much money to get a truck driving license, and they don't even last a year. And they don't last a year not because they're not good drivers or because they like the job. They do it because they drive through some small little shithole rat fuck town, and the guy gives them a ticket, and then he gets a point off his license. And because you're driving 100,000 miles a year, you end up driving through 100,000 towns like that and get tickets. And all it takes is for you to get like 3 or 4 tickets, and now you don't have a driver's license.
Yep. What are they building over there anyway?
They're building patriarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. God bless the patriarchy.
I was not able to invite Vern, and my little invite thingy isn't working. So.
Well, you could always copy paste the link to him.
Yeah. Yeah, you could go to the top of this link and paste this link.
Oh yeah.
It worked for me.
Yeah.
Yep. Simple as that. Well, but the funny thing about it though is that, you know, like pretty soon I'm probably going to start getting paid more and more. You know, if they can't get any new drivers in, they're probably going to be paying guys like me who are really good at what we do and who've been in this industry for like 10 plus years. We're probably going to be making mad cash. You know, so they're probably going to be working the hell out of us, but we're probably going to be making like all kinds of money just because they don't have enough people to do the job.
Well, what's really cool, like when I was working for Warner, what they're going to end up doing is they're going to pay you a shit ton of money to do your loads, and they're going to start charging other people more money to deliver shit, but they're also going to give you an extra amount of money because you're going to be a trainer. And you're going to be training guys, and they're going to try to, because you've been driving long enough to where you haven't got your tickets, you haven't lost your license yet, so they want you to train other people to do that so they can keep drivers. So they're going to end up paying you that extra amount of money because you usually get half of the student's wages. You know, so if he drives 10 miles, you get 5 of his miles. So you're getting paid his fucking money too to train him. And if you're a trainer plus you're delivering goods, you might end up making a fuck ton of money.
Yep. I mean, you know, if there's not enough people to do the job, they're going to be paying, you know, everybody that is here more to do it.
Yep. Yeah. They might even change the laws to where guys can drive longer hours. Because like they tried to make those laws to where you guys can't drive as long because, you know, they think it's unsafe. But there's truck drivers like me who could drive 24 hours if I had to, you know. So that they may end up changing those laws just because they know that the trucking industry needs more people to drive longer hours, and they may actually not really force you, but if they change those laws, you won't have any of that shit backing you up anymore, and companies will start running you guys ragged.
I mean,
and that'll actually cause more accidents and cause more shit if that happens.
Well, they already, the government's, though, the problem with that is the government still, you know, for some reason, they keep trying to stick their fingers in where it don't belong and trying to fuck shit up for everybody, and it's like, yeah, nah, sooner or later they're going to have to quit doing that.
Yeah, they're taking the advice from feminists. Same thing feminists do. They stick their nose into places where they don't belong and places where they don't even come, you know. And they still want to tell those people what they can and can't do with their places.
That's what happens. You get people in that don't know shit about the job trying to tell you how to do the job.
Yeah. Oh.
I think the morning's catching up with all of us. We're all getting all kinds of quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I had an 8-hour turnaround. I got off work at like fucking midnight, and then I had to come right back here at 6 o'clock in the morning. So.
Yeah. Fucking patriarchy, man. Fucking patriarchy.
Yeah. We need to talk to the patriarch godfather. Who's that, Barbarossa?
Yeah. Yeah. That fucking male privilege, man, gets you every fucking morning.
Hang on, guys. My male privilege is itching.
Yep.
Male privilege is itching.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have to scratch my male privilege a little bit there.
I gotta readjust my male privilege. Yeah, women.
Yeah,
women don't seem to understand what they're doing to society. Like I say, I think it's not in a woman's mental capacity to like turn around and look at all the things that they've destroyed in society. They really have no concept of what they're doing, and you can point out everything that they have, all the laws that they've put in place, everything that's basically stacking the deck in their favor, and how much power they have in society, and they'll still point out things that they think are wrong, and then when you say, well, what about the men's problems, they'll say, fuck men, you know. And then they talk about equality.
Our problems,
they'll say they want equality. Like, well, if you want equality, what about that?
Our problems are way worse because they happen to us, no matter how minor or stupid they are.
Yeah, it's like, what? How can you not see the amazing amount of legal status that you have? The agency that women have in society is just so crazy right now, you know, and it's been that way for years. You know, women have the possibility now to destroy any man's life that she chooses, she wants to, you know, and a man has never had that control over a woman. The only way a man could destroy a woman's life is by killing her. That it's never been possible for a man to destroy a woman's life ever. But a woman, for like the last 15, 20 years, with the laws that have came about, she's been able to fucking wreck his life.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, if you, and that's you know, that story you told about, you know, that M was telling about that guy who, the woman practically financially raped his ass, and he's still acting like, oh, well, she deserved it for, and it's like, why did she, what did she do?
He fell in love with the boot that stamps him in the face.
No, what it is what did she do? Suck your dick one Sunday morning, and that's why you owe her everything you've ever worked for? What's the deal there?
Oh man, and if I told you some of the stuff he says that I know the truth about, like I can see it, what she was doing, what was actually going on. If I told you just some of the nightmare he went through, yeah, I don't even have the heart to break it to him. I don't even have the heart. It's like, dude, you know that guy, that roommate, you know why he paid you his share of the rent like a dick? Because he was a dick and he was also screwing your wife. Like, it's like that's a guy would only pull that kind of dick move living in your home, right? While you were away at work. Yeah, what was he doing while you were away at work? Think about it. Yeah, you know, it's like, oh, did she have a friend who needed a place to stay? Yeah, dude, wake up. It's like
he wanted to stay in your wife's pussy.
Yeah, he was monkey branching right in front of him. Right in front of him.
Oh, dude.
That's sick.
And the fact that he didn't catch on to it only made her feel better and despise him more. I've seen it too many times. Like there was, remember Manny? Remember my video, Manny the Male Feminist? That's kind of the crap.
I don't think I saw it.
Oh well, it's the one that has the meme on it. Goes out with the girl, sucks 36 dicks. Like yeah. This is the kind of shit they do. I've seen it too many times. It's like that once they realize they got you hooked, once they realize that they got your ego stroked, that they got you sort of figured out, that they can sort of just put you in a sort of haze and be like, oh, you're like, once a woman starts kissing your ass and stroking your ego, that's when she's fucking you. Once she starts, you know, making you feel good about yourself, oh man, that's when she's fucking someone else behind your back. Because Manny's girlfriend was pulling the same shit. I was like, Manny, is there a guy with muscles that sort of comes around every once in a while? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, that guy's fucking your girlfriend. Like, yep. like that guy. Does she tell you she doesn't like guys with muscles and guys with big dicks? Yeah, like the guy with muscles has a big dick, and she's telling you she doesn't like that because she doesn't want you to catch on, Manny.
Yeah, that's how they always are. That's the thing. Women are not smart enough to cover that shit up, but they think men are dumb enough to not see it.
And we are.
Most men aren't.
The only reason they think that men are dumb enough to believe that is because most of them are actually stupid enough to believe that.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's just once I have it figured out, it's really kind of sad. And once I got it figured out, it's really kind of sad. I mean, women have lost their mystique for me, and I keep trying to give them another shot. And occasionally, things will work out. Like last night, I came across this girl who was reading a book, and I forget what the book was, but it was on a topic and by an author. I was like, women's studies. And I was like, what are you reading? And she kind of could sense I was setting her up for something, right? And what was funny is she didn't want to say, even though the cover of the book was right there. And I was like, so what do you study? What do you study? And she didn't want to say gender studies. She didn't want to say it. I was like, oh, come on, what are you in college for? What are you studying? She was like, oh, nothing, don't worry about it. It's like, so we're kind of getting to a point where they'll take a gender studies course and a gender studies degree, but they won't admit to it.
Yeah.
It would be like a guy who's studying porn. It's like, what are you majoring in? Don't worry about it.
Well, I'd say that gender studies like degree or the gender studies program in most colleges right now are getting to the point where only about 10% of women can be involved in it and not see how it's completely idiotic, you know.
Well, it's just fun. It's just funny that you don't even have to call them out. You just have to be like, "Oh, what are you studying?" And they're like, "Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. Yeah, it's just something that says you're the horrible person in the world, and you know, men have fucked everybody's life up, and women are all victims. That's all.
Well, and I think they're starting to figure out that gender studies is a useless degree because if she's not willing to admit that that's what she's doing, because she knows the second she says, I'm taking gender studies, it's like, okay, so basically you're learning how to bitch about that there's not enough women in STEM fields when you could have been majoring in, oh, I don't know,
STEM fields,
marine biology or, you know, rocket science or something. It's like, well, basically she's admitting by taking gender studies that she's not smart enough to do those things, but she's dumb enough to take a class to teach her how to bitch about it.
Yep.
Women really need to take a college course on great men. That's a double gong.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, women need to learn, man. They just fucking the way they think about life, they just, and that's the thing, is they really believe the way they think is logical. So when you bring these things up to them, they can't see how what they're saying is so wrong. You know, it's perfectly logical to them.
The only women I've known in well, biology, because it's honestly the only field I really, I mean, I maybe know some people in physics, but they're all men.
Yeah.
The only field only women I know in biology.
That fucking
yeah, the only women I know in biology are either they're a couple, like either their boyfriends in biology too.
Yep.
Or and this, I'm serious about this, or women who I suspect are only in it for the money. Like there was one single girl who I knew who was getting a marine biology degree, actually aquatic biology, and she was a stripper.
Yep, gotta put yourself through college some way. You know, I can't say like how many male strippers there are that put themselves through college, right?
Yeah, and let's take a moment to appreciate the fact that out of men and women are the only ones that can suck a dick to pay their tuition.
Exactly. I talk about it all the time in my classes that like when a woman moves to a foreign country, that's the first thing they think of doing. Like if I move to a foreign country, I have so many skills and so many degrees and so many things I can do. I think about all the, you know, I could build houses, I could work on cars, I could be a welder, I could do all this stuff. The first thing I think of doing is not becoming a male stripper or selling my body. But that will be the first thing a woman goes to. They'll go to some foreign, like California or something, and the first thing they think of doing is, well, I guess I want to be a star, but I guess I can't really be a star, so I guess I'll do porn, you know? And it's like, that's not something that any men, that's not even something that would come across our table. We wouldn't even think of something like that. But that's the first place their mind goes. And then they talk about misogyny. They talk about misogyny. It's like, you're doing it to yourselves. You're objectifying yourself because the only thing you can think of to do when you get into a situation where you need money is sell your body. And that's not like a man will sell his shit. You know, like if I need money, I'll go sell my car, or I'll sell some music equipment, or I'll do something like that. I won't sell my body.
Well, in any job you do, you're technically selling your body, but
yeah,
women are the ones that can get away with doing like 20 minutes worth of work, i.e. sex, and make like probably twice what the dude would have made for an hour's worth of actual work.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, way more than twice.
Oh yeah,
way more than that. Yeah.
Most strippers, depending on where they're stripping at, they can go strip for like one night and make like $300 or $400 in a night.
Well, yeah, technically, I was lowballing it. But at the same time, I mean, that just to give you an idea, a woman sucks a dick for 10 minutes and then makes like 40 or 50 bucks off the guy, whereas some guy's working and he's maybe making, you know, if he's lucky, about $15 to $20 an hour for actual work, and he has to be there for the whole stinking hour.
Yeah. Yeah, woman gets paid a one-time fee to fuck some guy, and if she can make him come quick, she gets more money. So they'll purposely try to, like, you know, you pay for a prostitute. If she can get you to come in like a couple minutes, then she can like get your money and walk out.
And here's the funny thing about feminist psychology. They make it sound like that's such a terrible profession. They make it sound like They make it sound like women don't do that crap for free. They make it sound like women don't enjoy doing that. They make it sound like, you know, like, oh my God, she is a sex object. They make it sound like women don't dress up, put makeup on, to be attractive sex objects. They make it sound like, yeah, I knew a girl who loved it. She would wake up and blow me. And yeah, I can't imagine a world in which she would be like, oh, are you going to pay me money on top of doing the thing I like doing? Yeah. No woman in her right mind would be like, oh yeah, no, keep your $60 bucks. No woman would be like, oh no, you're gonna pay me to do that thing I like doing? Okay. Yeah, they make it sound like it's such reverse psychology. It's such almost expert manipulation that it has gone into the realm of stupid. Like, if you just stand back and look at it, it's like, do they honestly believe we're going to buy this bullshit anymore? Yeah. Do they honestly think we're going to buy it anymore?
Well, it's like I was talking about with the male feminists, basically the crazy MGTOW, the MGTOW monks. You know, they've basically fleshed out an idea so much that now they've gone into thinking about things that really they don't exist. You know. And that's the way a lot of these feminists are. They've already gone so far past like reality that they can't see anymore the reality of what they were talking about before. Because like there's the first wave feminist, and then the second wave, and now the third wave, and these third wave feminists don't even study about the first wave feminism. They pull out bullet points and they cherry pick things that they did, but they don't understand the real concept of what it meant, and therefore they are off on some tangent that doesn't mean anything, and then we get manspreading, you know, where it's just stupid. It doesn't mean anything, and it's fucking retarded.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to let y'all go.
Okay.
It's nice talking with y'all.
Yep. See you later.
Have a good one. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Bye, Mike. Mike actually does some pretty good videos.
Yeah. Yeah, I've watched a few of his videos.
He needs more subs.
Yeah, a lot of us do. You know, it's like I'm almost to 1,310 right now. And I've got that within the last like 7 months. About 7 months ago, I only had like 110 subs, and that was because I was doing music stuff, and I had my channel for 8 years, and then somebody asked me something about the MGTOW life, and I made a video on MGTOW, and then all of a sudden, you know, here I am 7 months later with 1,300 subs.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people. How should I say? MGTOW is not a topic that'll get you a lot of subs. Like I noticed, like once a person, like I suspect Sandman, once he breaks 50,000, is gonna drop the MGTOW label.
Yeah.
I noticed once anyone gets over a certain amount of subs, they just sort of drop it.
Well, once you get to a certain point like that, you start getting so much hate, and you get a lot of vitriol from a lot of the feminists. They start hunting you, you know, and you start getting like a lot of like strikes on your page where women will watch your videos and you have some real shit to say, and you know, which Sandman doesn't normally, and they'll decide that they're gonna, you know, fuck up your video by putting a mark on it, you know, and reporting it and saying it's saying something that it's not, you know. So once you get to that point, you're going to get that shit like every day. Every video you put up, you're going to get like 16 strikes on it. And within the first hour you put it up, you get like 100 dislikes, you know, that kind of shit. You know, and that's just how feminists are. They're not logical. They won't even watch the video. They'll just click on your video and put dislike just because it's a Sandman video. You know, so that's just That's why a lot of them do it. They change what they're talking about because they get away from talking about subjects that'll get them a lot of dislikes and get a lot of shit, so they can continue to build their channel.
Well, I've noticed like even Barbarossa and Stardust, they only have like maybe 8,000 subs, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's after years. I mean, they've been doing this for 2, 3, 5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
And
well, it's like with me. I'm probably going to get around that same amount, but I find it, the people that do a lot of those videos where they script them, you know, they write the scripts and they have this whole, they talk very, you know, pompous, and they get very like uppity. They speak very like they're reading the book, you know. They're very I don't know what, like pedantic, you know. They're very like I'm so smart. Those kind of people. It's just, most people find that kind of annoying. Like when you hear a British person that's in Parliament talking, you just want to smack them in the face, you know. So a lot of these guys that have that style of talking, it's hard to get, you know, normal like 22-year-old guys that are out of high school that need to hear this information to get them to listen to you and to sub to you.
Today we'll be reading from the book of MGTOW, Chapter 9, verses 1 to 10.
Yeah, exactly. It's like nobody wants to hear that. You know, that's why, like, I worked my whole career. I've been teaching since the 90s, since the early 90s, and I've only had my PhD since 2014 in December. But I worked my whole career to not get that kind of pompous act where when I'm in college and I'm teaching and I'm a professor, I don't come across as some, you know, asshole that's like, listen to me because I'm so smart. You know, that I don't want my students to think that. I want them to think I'm very smart, and then I'm actually smarter than I lead on to be. You know, and that I actually know more than I do, but I can actually talk to them and talk to them like their friends would talk to them. And I could sit down there and have a conversation with them like a normal person and not start pulling out facts out of my ass because I've read 15,000 books, you know, like these guys can. You know, because that, when it comes down to it, that stuff doesn't help you in life. You know, I could read 10,000 books and all I'd have is a lot of books I've read. You know, I want to actually have something to talk about that people want to hear. You know, so I'm not going to spend my whole life trying to show people how smart I am. You know, you show people how smart you are by something you do, not something you say. You know, and a lot of these guys think I can just say some smart shit and everybody will think I'm smart, and that's a feminist mind. That's a feminist mindset, to think like all I have to do is say something and everybody will think I'm great.
Well, one thing I've noticed is like, okay, so like a year ago, the feminists went after Vincent. I'm not sure if you know who that is,
No,
but
I never heard of him.
Well, he's just a guy who does videos on just stuff like, you know, how to garden, how to cook, how to, like, you know, lead a single bachelor life, you know.
Patriarchy.
Well, the feminists went after him, and what I noticed is, like, they didn't go after Sandman, they didn't go after Stardust, they didn't go after anyone that could fight back. They went after the one guy who who literally says nothing about feminism. Yeah. The only thing about women Vincent ever says is, you know, hey, I'm not interested. Thanks, I'm too old. I've been down that road. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, that's enough right there. That's fucking patriarchy, fucking misogyny. You know, that's women shaming. You know, they love to point out anything that can make them a victim. You know, that's their go-to. If they think I can be a victim, that's the easiest thing for them to do. You know, they will. That's the problem I have with talking with a lot of women, is you'll get into a conversation with a woman and they're not listening to anything you have to say. That's how you can tell really easily. They're looking for anything that you're saying for them to jump on. They want to jump on you and say like, oh, you just said this and that, and you're a misogynist, and blah, blah, blah. That's all they care about. They're not interested in facts. So you can't have a logical conversation with them because they're looking for things to call you out on, you know? And that's all they want. And they want to play the victim card, even if it's somebody else's victim card, you know, like the women saying something about the Indians, and, you know, somebody saying something about blacks, and then you look around the room and there's not a black in the room, and some woman stands up and says, you said something about blacks, and that's blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know, are you their fucking interpreter or something? What the fuck are you talking about? You know? And they actually think they have a point, and that's the problem. They don't have a point. Their point is not making a point.
Well, exactly. That's all feminism's ever been. Well, that's how feminism's been about since the 90s, I would say.
Yeah. Their point is not having a point, you know.
Their point is not having. Yeah, they just want attention. I think that's their point.
Yeah. You know, they just want. I think what it comes down to with women, they just want somebody to listen to them. A lot of these feminists, we all talk about the feminists, the really hardcore ones like Big Red and stuff, are people you wouldn't want to even get your dick close to them. You know, you wouldn't want to even smack them in the face with your dick. You wouldn't want to dick slap them. And they are pissed off about that. They're pissed off that they want to point out misogyny when nobody would actually do any misogyny to them, because they're not sexy, they're not pretty, they're not anybody that anybody would say like, wow, I want to sleep with her. Most people would be like, what the fuck, you know? They don't want anything to do with them, and they are pissed off about that. So they have like, they want to come out and tell everybody how bad men are and how bad it is, and all it is they're projecting. They're just pissed off that no men, when they go into a bar, no man looks at them and says like, wow, I want to take her home and fuck her. She'll talk to some guy, or some guy will talk to her, and she'll smart off to him, and they just kind of walk off and go, man, what a bitch, you know? And
these are the kind of women you're climbing a tree to get away from them. Oh, men are rapists. It's like, yeah, shoot, get out of here, lady, before I start throwing Twinkies at you.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. And then they say it's all men's fault. It's like, no, it's your fault. If you weren't such a bitch and you didn't talk that way, men might want to have something to do with you. And they might want to treat you like a human. But because you're like, all men are evil, we should kill all men, we're getting what we got, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, well, I'm just waiting for it to slowly, how should I say, catch on. It seems obvious to me. Well, like I was talking to a taxi driver a few weeks ago. Yeah, it seems obvious to me that marriage is on the outs. That no sane man will get married anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And then two, it seems that people are catching on to, well, one, feminism is garbage, and then three, people are catching on to the fact that, you know, maybe it's female nature, maybe.
Yep.
You know, sure. There's that 5% y'all were talking about earlier. Sure, there's the Nawalt.
Yeah.
Right? But they're so small and so random and, you know, hidden amongst the weeds.
Yeah.
That they dare not speak up. And that they'll go along with the other 95% just because
they can't even get out of the weeds either, because there's so much. They're actually scared. A lot of them that are actually like men and like those things and like STEM fields and stuff, they're made to feel bad for that, and they're afraid to come out and say, like in colleges, if you come out and say like, I don't believe that, I don't think it's true or something like that, and you're a woman, they'll literally almost beat your ass up. They're like, you're a male apologist and all this kind of bullshit, you know.
A male apologist.
Not bothering to realize that, you know, the reason why a lot of women stick up for guys in the first place is because, well, you know, we're actually doing shit. You know, we're not asking for handouts. We're just fucking doing it.
I've said so many times to girls in my class when they start telling me about how great women are and blah blah blah, I'll just tell them, tell me one thing that a woman has made in society. Tell me just one thing, you know. Tell me the building that a woman has made. Tell me the bridge. Tell me the city. Tell me the thing that she's made in society that we can look at and say a woman made that. You know.
Cue the crickets.
Exactly. They just.
Yeah, because you're just like, say, go ahead and cue the crickets. It's like Bueller.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. I've shut down a woman like that too. I've said, name one thing, name one woman who's done something for society. And then, damn, it shuts them down immediately. Like,
the only thing that I have ever pointed out that I've ever found out about that I still talk about is the woman who made Kevlar. You know, there was a woman that worked for 20 years and made Kevlar back in the 60s. But the problem is like I always talk about, nothing that a woman has ever made in life, in our society, has ever been made without men. Because even though she made Kevlar, all the machines that she used to make Kevlar with were made by men. And if she wouldn't have had those machines, she couldn't have made Kevlar, because she didn't have the knowledge and the skill to build the machines that built the Kevlar. You know? So that's what I'm saying. A lot of women are like, well, women can do this and women can do that. And then when you flesh out the actuality, everything that they're talking about was started by men. You know? Women can do this, women can do that, but yeah, women can if men help them out first. Men can set them on the path and then they can build something, but women can't do it on their own, and that's something they hate. They can't stand when a man tells a woman that you can't do something on your own, and it's just a fact. You can't. Women can't do something on their own. They have to be helped. They have to be started out. Like I was talking about earlier when I first started this podcast about books. When you look at movies that women have wrote, most of the stories that women tell are very childlike, and they also they kind of rehash things. They look at like stories that have been told through time and stories that other people have told, and they just build on that story. When a man thinks of a story, they come up with something totally new, and they come up with really, really crazy stories, like Fantasia and all these crazy things where it's really neat, in-depth stories where they flesh out so many characters, and you almost have to watch the movie like 6 or 7 times to see everything, because there's just so much there. And when you watch a woman's movie, it's usually geared towards like 10-year-old kids, and it's just very fantasyful, and it's like watching Peter Pan or something. You know, it's not really something that a grown-up is going to want to watch more than once with their kids, you know.
Well, now, to be fair to, we were talking about J.K. Rowling the other day. To be fair, that story did have a lot of childlike elements to it, but she at least put the effort into it to throw in, like, stuff, like, early in the books where it came into play later and had a major impact on the story. And I was kind of impressed by that.
Well, I think probably she had a lot of male writers that she doesn't give credit to. I would imagine that she fleshed out some stuff and then sent it to some people to check, and they said, well, you should put this in, and this would be better, and this would be better received, and all that stuff. And she changed some stuff, you know. That's usually what ends up happening. Yeah. They usually don't write the story and send it in, and the people just publish it. They send it back to her, and they have a revised stuff, you know. So a lot of that stuff has other people telling her what to write. You know, that's the way books are when you write books.
It's a possibility.
Well, my favorite thing to point out is, because I actually thought about this and it was serious, things that women invented. Now, bear with me here. Okay, so there was that British spy who came up with signal hopping.
Yeah.
She came up with that. And then there was the CIA female who came up with the cell phone. Now, the joke is, of course, women would invent things that enabled them to gossip better.
Yep.
But those are two serious inventions that, now women can gossip in secret, and now they can gossip mobile, moving around. But those are two things that I can think of. And then everyone wants to bring up Marie Curie, but everyone forgets that she had a husband who did the exact same stuff.
Yeah, that's a problem. The biggest thing that I talk about is, like, it's kind of one of those things where people we flesh this out all the time in classes, where I'll get up on the board and I'll put up like 1 through 10, and we always have these things where we have these exercises in psychology class where you do the pros and cons of an idea, like what's the bad and what's the good. And you'll look up there, and I'll say, let's just do a simple exercise. I'll say, tell me things that women have made in society to better society. And like you just said, I've come up with 3 things. We've came up with the cell phone and this deal that you were talking about, and then we came up with the other thing that I said. So I put those 3 things up on the board. And then after you get past like 4 or 5 things, they can't think of anything. And then I'll go to the men's side and I'll say, okay, tell me things that men have made. You know, and they'll say like the Brooklyn Bridge and, you know, the White House, and like it could go on for like, I'll just keep having them name shit off, and I'll have like 25 things up on the board that men have created, that men have created. And I say, so what's the what can we get from that? You know, what can you, when you look at that, how can a woman or a feminist say that men have no use in society when everything that has been built or made is from a man? You know, you can't look at the overwhelming majority of what's been built and say women have the same capacity to do that, because they don't. Most women just don't want to do it. They want to stay home. They want to have kids. They would rather live off of a man and use him as an ATM machine. That's their whole existence in society. They really just want to do that. You talk to most women and you find out that 60% of women would rather work part-time or not at all, you know, and take care of their kids. They'd rather stay home. There's only about 20% of the population of women that say they want to go out and they want to work and they want to carry their own weight. You know, so 60% of the population doesn't, and then there's like another 20% that say they don't want to work at all. You know, so that means a huge portion of the population doesn't want to fucking really work. They want to stay home and take care of kids. And that's just a fact that those 20% of feminists are trying to fight against. They're speaking for the majority, but the majority doesn't want what they want.
Yeah, it's the minority speaking for the majority, which seems to be the way our respective countries seem to work constantly.
Yeah, it's sad to see.
You got this noisy ass minority that wants to speak for everybody else, and it's like, no, asshole, you don't speak for me.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with you. Yeah.
I can speak for myself just fine, thanks.
Yep. Don't need you to speak for me, darling. Thank you very much.
You misogynist, you called her darling.
Yeah, I can do that. I'm trying.
Oh, man, I can't tell you how many, I guess it's just the South, but I didn't notice how odd it was until after MGTOW, and then I started going back out. But the number of women who say sweetheart and darling to me, or hun, maybe it's just the South, I don't know. But it's like, every time I look at them now, every time they do it, I look back at them now and give them a weird look and I go, okay, honey. Like, this is weird. Like, what?
If you say it, you're misogynist. If they say it, they're just being nice or something, you know. There's only misogyny and fucking that kind of shit only works one way. You know, that's the thing. It's they always talk about equality, but feminism is the farthest thing from equality. I always talk about that in my class, where feminism is just like equal, like privilege, basically gender privilege masquerading as equality, you know.
I've told a lot of people this before, that feminism is the furthest thing from equality that you could possibly find.
Yeah, they don't want equality, because if you look at everything they're trying to do, you can point it out. I can get on my board in my classes and just write it all out and show them how everything they're fighting for is trying to get it to be so far from equal in their favor that it's a crime. And they'll still say, like, yeah, but this and yeah, but that, and they'll act like all the stuff you just pointed out isn't a problem, you know. And
yeah, but they do that. I call that the yeah, but, because yeah, but, and they're fucking pointing out shit that it's like, no, that shit don't count.
Well, I shut them down when they do that as well, because I go yabba dabba doo.
That's what they do. They'll sit there and start the yeah, but, and you're just like, no, there is no yeah, but. There's just
Yeah.
Period. End of story. There's this, and this.
Yeah, it's
And they
really
they can't stand that shit.
Yeah. Well, that's what really gets tired, and that's why a lot of men are getting out of the teaching industry, because when you go to college nowadays, there's so few men in classes. It's so hard for us to teach because our classes are like 70% women, and there's very few men in the classes. And like I say, about 10% at least of the women in your class will be feminists or feminist sympathizers, and a lot of the men that are in your class will be white knights. So if you have anything to say about feminism or feminist ideology, they'll fucking come at you like a fucking, python. They're fucking.
Well, that's why
You
need to start shining a very bright spotlight on certain ones and let them stick their own foot in their mouth.
That's what I usually do. That's why I say when they talk in my classes, I'll let them talk, and they'll usually talk for like 10 minutes about all this bullshit. And the cool thing about feminism is they got bullet points, and once they get past those bullet points and they start to have to flesh it out, just like I talk about with women with books and stuff, they really have nowhere to go. They get into really murky waters where they're just kind of treading water and they just don't know what to talk about. And they really just get to a point where they have nothing they can really say. And when they get into that point, that's when they start to look stupid. And all you have to do is let them talk. Let them continue to talk. And then every once in a while you pull in facts, like where they talk about like the male privilege and all this bullshit. You throw out the facts of what's the reality, and then you let them go for a little bit longer. And you just kind of keep giving them the facts, and the class will get facts from what you're talking about, and then they kind of see where what she's saying is complete fucking retardation. And then everybody that's thinking about saying the same shit that she's thinking and nodding their head like Amos and Andy start to realize that everybody in the class thinks it's stupid too.
But that's where it really gets funny is, when you can pull that on them, and that I've used the terminology before, but it's almost like it breaks their brain.
Yep.
Like they just hit this wall where they have talked themselves into a corner that they really can't fucking get out of.
Yeah, there's very few feminists that I talk to in classes that can actually. They're not all Anita Sarkeesians and Big Red and stuff. They're not all people like that. They're people that have read books and read stories, but really don't have the mental capacity to sit and argue with anybody. The way a woman argues is the same way she would argue with a boyfriend. And when you're talking about arguing with somebody that's scholarly, you really have to have more than you're a poo-poo head. And that's all they really have. They can't logically argue a conversation that makes sense. And if you can get them into a point where they make themselves look like an idiot, you can get away with not having to say that they're an idiot, because everybody else in the class will just know it intuitively. So that's why I love to just let them talk.
Already seen it.
Yeah, I love to just let them talk. And the other people that might think their idea is good, they will actually, the longer that person talks, they will start to question their own ideas and their own ideologies and start to think maybe what that person is talking about and what I'm talking about is kind of stupid, because the teacher is kind of pointing out what is wrong with how I'm thinking, and they're making her look stupid, and she looks stupid anyways, and I thought that what she was saying was true, but now that I think about it, it's kind of stupid. So it's a good thing to do in classes, is just to let them go off and let them talk, and the longer they talk, the stupider they sound.
Yeah, and they don't even realize it either. Well, they don't. Well, I should say they don't realize it until they're actually forced to listen to what they are saying themselves in front of a whole group of people, and then they realize, wow, that's really stupid.
Yeah. See ya, M.
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, not a problem. I do these every Saturday, so.
Yeah, I guess
all right. Well,
it's time for everybody to bail out and get their day moving.
Yep, it's already been in 3 hours.
Well, 2.5 hours on the air.
Yeah, 2.5 hours. Yeah. Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, bye, guys. I got to go eat.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Catch you guys later.
Cool.
Bye.
Yeah. Call that good.